This is Tucker at MACkite Boarding, and today I have something fresh, something new, something I dare say I've never seen before. With Waka Boards here, got Nigel, thanks for visiting and showing us this fresh new product, hot off the press. What we have here, guys, is first I'm aware of folding foil board for travel. Definitely the first one we've ever had in the shop. So I think it's something unique. It's something that's filling a need. And it's exciting. Try something new, check out something new. Thanks for joining us here.
Yeah, no, you're welcome, Tucker. I really appreciate being here. Yeah, so this is a product that's been in the works for 2 years now. And it came about through, you know, like many of us, we like to go to cool places and have fun. And winging is such an awesome sport. However, as the boards have gotten longer, it's actually getting trickier to travel with them. And you know, when I started my journey, I wanted portability, and I kind of went the whole inflatable route, and it just wasn't the same as, you know, as what I was used to as a high performance board.
Better than nothing, but not as good as
better than nothing.
Board,
you know, you get out there, you're doing it, that's cool. But what if you didn't have to compromise? Like, what if you could have a high performance, lightweight board that's super easy to travel with? So that was sort of that was the big idea.
Yeah.
And everybody's got good ideas, and then you have to try to figure out how to make it work. So we spent, like I said, 2 years. We had lots of failures, and we were trying to figure out different ways to do sectional boards. And then we sort of, we leaned into what some of the aerospace industry was doing with composites in terms of having flexible composites. So even though this seems like it's a board that's in 2 pieces, it's actually a 1-piece board, and we can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so here it is. It's delivered with the day bag.
Yes.
Which also doubles as extra padding for the travel bag, which is available a la carte as an add-on that's bigger than this. You can bring more than just the board. But I dare say this is a pretty robust bag. You know, even for mild travel situations and just carting it around day to day without damaging it.
Yep.
I'll just pop her open here so we can have a look at this beauty and give you a quick look at the bag here. Nigel, you want to do the honors there?
Sure.
We can pop her out.
So it just slides out the back.
And I should show before I was covering it up, has a shoulder over the strap, which is really comfortable. It kind of goes over the head and shoulder and sits just like a backpack. So if you had to, I mean, even if you had to hike a long distance to get to a location, it's pretty comfy, pretty easy to whip over your back and carry some gear. Yeah,
and these boards are light, you know, so it's a light board. It's not a heavy load at all. So this one is this is our 77-liter board. So it's a mid-length board. And before we get into the board, we'll just talk about the travel aspect of it. So it actually folds. So it's, as I mentioned, it's not actually, even though it seems like 2 pieces, they're actually connected by the skin. And we're using composites, we're using carbon and Kevlar that actually creates the hinge. So you can see it folds, and then it folds onto itself. Some of the things that people say, like, oh wow, is that going to flex? You know, like, is that going to be like a really, you know, am I going to have any sort of compromise with it? It's actually the opposite. To make this work, we actually had to put a lot of extra architecture inside the board. So there's actually additional reinforcements, essentially like a bulkhead on both halves. So it actually makes it incredibly stiff.
Yeah,
so
really, it's the 2 flat hard pieces sticking together with the bolts that are taking the majority of the load while it's actually assembled, right? I mean, the seam isn't taking a whole lot of load while you're actually riding, from what I can tell.
And it can actually take the load. On some of our test mules that we're doing, we were only using like 1 bolt. So basically all the load's on the hinge. And there's still no lateral flex on it. You know, you were asking before, what's the durability of it? So we're using, these hinges are actually rated for 1 million folds. So obviously the lifetime of the board.
Yeah.
You do need to take care of it. You know, normal stuff. Don't leave sand in there and things like that.
Yeah. Don't take a razor blade and try to slice.
Please don't do that. Yeah, that wouldn't be.
It's supposed to stay together.
That wouldn't be great. Yeah, you don't want to do that. So, but it is structural. It's super stiff. It's integrated into the skin of the board. And for those people who are familiar with how boards are built, the skin of the board is actually where a lot of the structure of the board is. So structurally, it's actually a very stiff board.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And first thing I noticed when I picked up the backpack, it's like, wow,
Yeah.
this thing is crazy light.
Yeah.
Especially with the bag. You expect, to pick it up and it's a
Yeah.
folding board plus the bag. You expect a little heft there, but man, these things are light.
Yeah.
I dare say they're as light as most production boards, which is an accomplishment. So congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, we spent a lot of time with our manufacturer. We looked at a lot of different layups, different methods to create this structure. And one of the things is we didn't actually want to compromise on materials. So everything that this whole board, this is a premium board. And then there's certain things that are unique to the board, not just the hinge. You may have noticed that the pad is actually completely flush, so it's inset with it. Part of the consideration is when you fold it, the board needs to fold on itself. There's other considerations, like we have sort of this, a kick pad, but it also doubles as
It's a bumper.
a bumper.
It's nice.
Yeah,
You don't get that.
You don't.
Yeah.
And if you put the board away a little bit wet, the pad can kind of breathe a little bit. Yeah, so this is the Waka Glide.
Yeah, I'm impressed. And as a one board quiver, which you're assuming most people traveling aren't going to want to bring 2 or 3 boards, you want one board that handles a lot of range.
Yes.
Something that you can use in light-ish winds or light winds to also performing at a high level at good conditions, good wind, good waves. It's a lot to ask from a board, and I think the design that you arrived at is really considerate of that. It's an efficient design, from what I can tell, and has elements of that efficient light wind ability machine, and also the high performance, high speed, high demand kind of riding as well. And dare I say, even prone or parawing.
Sure.
It's narrow enough to have some versatility into some different sports, and that's exciting.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, we spent a bit of time kind of really thinking about sizing and geometry and the type of board that we wanted to release with, and we decided to go to market initially with a mid-length board, exactly for that reason. Especially when you're traveling, sometimes you don't, you can have different types of wind conditions. So going with something that's personally, when I travel, I prefer to go with a little bit more of a floaty board.
Yep.
In case it's going to be really light, because it's a vacation. You want to have fun. You don't want to be sitting there watching everybody else have fun. So we went with the mid-length, so super versatile. Yeah, I think people would love it. It's a really nice geometry.
Yeah. Pick your size and your poison, and I suppose how you ride and how you want to ride and what kind of conditions you're realistically going to be in. And I think judging by the look of them, and we'll get to you guys to a review once we ride them a bit, but seems to be that you found a nice happy medium and balance there, and hopefully be able to bring fewer foils, because the board is so efficient and fun to ride that you can kind of make do with 1 or 2 front wings and cover a broad range. Personally, I think my biggest issue is like, man, what size do I pick? Right? I think that's going to be a common thing. Realistically, I probably want the 66 or the 77, but where am I going to be traveling? Am I going to be doing more parawinging? Am I going to be doing more light wind? Am I, how does that look like? And I mean, realistically for me, I'd probably be on something like the 77 as a travel board. That would cover me in a pretty broad range of the conditions I want to ride in. I'm not going to ride in like 8 knots with that necessarily, but it'll get me out there in the good conditions that you're really traveling for. And if that's not there, you can prone it. It's small enough for that. You could even, kite foil with this board. And it's small enough where, it's a little cumbersome, but it'd still be a lot of fun on a light wind day. So I think that's the way I would approach it, sizing wise. But let's continue to take a peek at the design here, because there's a lot going on.
There is.
Obviously, we have the mid-length shape like we've talked about here. You guys can see that. Want to flip it over?
Yeah.
We got the back side here. One unique thing that I haven't seen on other boards is the handle. So you've got this recessed section here that acts as a nice handle. If you're putting your arm over the board, the middle handle's nice, but sometimes a little fatiguing if you got a long ways to walk with the board.
True.
So wrapping your arm around the board or around the deck with the fuselage is a really nice way to carry it. And I think, you know, for people that want that ease of use and that ease of transport, again, with the trend of the board being easy travel, I think that's a unique and nice feature.
Yeah, just to be clear too, these they can be used as handles, but originally from a design standpoint, it's actually, we have the hinge. So there's two parts to the Waka travel fold system. There's the hinge and then there's the fastening system. So these actually facilitate the fastening. So there's two bolts that go on either side. And then it's a little hard to see probably from the camera, but the third bolt is actually recessed in the handle as well.
Yeah,
so
they're hidden.
It's hidden, yeah. So basically, you know, the byproduct of us needing these cutouts is they're actually fantastic handles. Like when we were doing our original prototypes, suddenly it was like, people were like, oh, well, thanks for the handle. And it's like, well, it was never supposed to be a handle, but it is a handle that works great.
Yeah, with a little recess like this, you're, okay, what if we made it a little bigger, and that way you can really grab onto it.
Yeah, and it's kind of sporty. They're kind of, you know, like a racing car, got little cutouts on the side. Yeah, I
dig it, yeah.
And it doesn't impact with the hydrodynamics as well. Yeah, just also from a design standpoint, this has a little bit of a V displacement on it that sort of terminates at where the handle is. So this board actually works really well on chop as well. So if you got a little bit of chop, it's got enough flat surface to, you know, give you stability. But as soon as you get a puff and you start to get forward motion, the board's really stable, because we've actually gone quite long on these boards, partly because we can. A lot of brands have actually they kind of go narrow and then they get stuck with volume, so then they go deep. Right. So we were like, well, we're not going to go deep, we're just going to go long, because we don't have any travel constraints, because we can fold it in half.
You get a better connection with the foil system that way too. I think you're not so detached.
That's right.
From what's going on with the foil, and I'm sure it gives it some directional stability as well for those less than ideal days. You know,
that's right.
Give you some drive and efficiency before you lift off.
Yeah, and then we also have pretty long foil tracks as well. These like 14-inch.
I was going to say, yeah, those are.
Yeah, so you got plenty of options on how you'd like to you know, place your foil. These tracks are also connected to the deck, so there's a number of actual connections that go through. So it makes it very, you know, very rigid. You're not going to feel any flex from the foil with the board, which is pretty cool. That's
great. In terms of the foil mounting, is this set at 0? Is it a slight angle?
This is 0.
Set at 0, okay, so it should play nice with almost anything.
Yeah.
And deck is also at 0, or is that okay? Yep. So it's pretty standard.
Yep.
Plug and play. If you want a little bit of angle, you can build that in with a shim or something. But
exactly, yeah. We wanted to try to keep it, you know, pretty, you know, make it flexible so the user can tune it however they'd like to tune it.
Yeah. Well, there's that. We're just looking at the deck, but there's no screw inserts, so this is not a board for straps necessarily. I think saving the weight on that for travel, I think for this style of board, that makes a lot of sense. We do sell stick-on inserts if somebody absolutely needs a strap or something. That's a great lightweight option. You can put it wherever you want specifically. Don't need to add an extra 1.5 pounds of insert posts into the board, because realistically I don't think most people are going to be riding this board with straps anyway. So that and folding them with straps is you got to remove them to fold.
You have to remove the straps. Yeah, there was that as well. You know, it's not that we're opposed to adding straps for maybe some other class of boards. I think, you know, for mid-lengths, you know, we talk to a lot of riders out there, and I mean, there's always exceptions, but the majority of people that were looking at mid-lengths were thinking about power wings and light winding, and typically they wouldn't, you know, they're not jumping on these boards. Right.
Exciting stuff, man. I mean, the boards look great. Obviously, the day bag and the travel bags are phenomenal. You can fit 2 boards in a travel bag. We saw that from when you came in, right?
I'm actually not promoting that you put 2 boards in one of our travel bags, but the travel bags, it's a roller bag, so you actually keep it in the day bag, and it goes in the roller bag. Then you can add your foils and your wings. I went down to La Ventana with that setup with a 99-liter board, which is 6 feet 9 inches, and it goes in this little roller bag, and it was all just at 50 pounds, no drama, checking in at the counter. And then, you know, some of the things that you don't think about from a cost saving standpoint is, like, you know, when I get to the rental car center, I just get a tiny little sedan.
Yeah, you don't need an SUV or a truck.
SUV was twice as much per day, so, you know, you can save a lot of money. So
it pays itself off after a while.
It'll pay itself off with 2 weeks of car rental. Yeah, and you know, and also, you know, it's if, you know, you can just put it inside the trunk, right? From a security standpoint, it's protected. And I think many of us know, you know, most of the damage we get to our boards is usually in transit.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, I always actually fold the board and I put it straight into the day bag. And the boards stay they stay beautiful. Right?
Yeah, and it's interesting. It even has a foil slot, so you could keep your
You
foil
can, yeah.
attached,
Yep.
fold the board.
Correct. Yeah.
And even if you have like a little SUV, you could
Yeah.
still put it fully assembled into the trunk.
Yep.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, and I ride a lot on Hood River, and I just have like my e-bike in my trailer, and I just fold it and put it on the e-bike, and it's fantastic. You know, it's really easy.
So many applications. Yeah, I think we're just hitting the surface here, but the execution is great, which I think is the key. You know, lots of people have thought about these. I know I've thought, man, there's got to be a way to make a split board or whatever for travel, you know, and it's like, somebody will figure it out eventually, you know, and here you go, you got it figured out. It seems to be really fantastic. And of course, we're going to go run it through the ringer and abuse these things a bit and do all the things and come back to you guys with a formal review. But we're so excited to see these boards here. We had to pop them out and talk about them a little bit. We have, what do we have here? The 77.
Yeah, we got an 88 and we got a 99. Yeah, and just so everyone knows, I mean, these literally came out of the mold like 3 days ago in Thailand. So this is, you know, we're our partners manufacturing these. So these are sort of the first look of our production boards, and we've been really happy with the finish of the board. From a manufacturing standpoint, we are using, because we have a lot of precision requirements, the manufacturing is a little more complicated than a regular board. So we're using a little bit more sophisticated techniques when we get these boards manufactured. So,
well, it shows, man. It's light. It seems very stiff and well built. It's tough. Obviously, it's got some great added value with the bag. And yeah, good on you for picking a good factory with Cobra. They're one of the best for sure. So, yeah, in terms of the range, I forget, it goes for 44?
No,
55?
no. We have a 55, but for the first batch of boards, we're going to be going 66 to 111.
That's
so
nice,
basically 66, 77, 88, 99, 111. And then we'll look at expanding the range from there. But we think that's sort of a good,
That's definitely the meat and potatoes of what we see people traveling with. Yeah, I mean, you're not a prone guy with this, but even the foil drive community, I think, can be pretty happy on a 66 like this. It's still pretty sporty. Yeah. The length is there, and it makes it fast. It makes it, it's light, so you don't feel the volume as much as it would on other boards, I think, and they still stay nice and slim and trim, which is really, I think, important in that travel performance category. You don't want this big chunky mess of a board that's only going to work for certain conditions. So I think it's exciting stuff, man. Is there any other concerns or knowledge you want out there in this video, or you're like, hey, know this when you buy this board, this is what you should consider?
This was when we considered this, it was designed to be for people that have to pick a board. Like, I'm just going to pick one board. But I do want to go to great locations, and I want to have fun and not be stressed out when I travel. So we picked this as your board. This is the board for people that, maybe 2 or 3 times a year they're going to different locations, and they just want to have fun and have a good time. And also, performance. I mean, to be clear, this is not a beginner's board, in the sense that it's a little bit narrower. So if you're still just trying to learn how to get up in foil, this is more for people that are already up in foil, and maybe they're jibing, maybe they're tacking, maybe they're doing more performance-oriented riding. This is the board that we've designed for people that are committed to the sport.
Beginner plus. In advanced, go that way. So you should be up and riding confidently, really, before you're looking at one of these, unless you're just really light, and then maybe you can get one of the bigger sizes.
You could,
if you're really possible.
If you're small and light, you can get away with a lot.
Or if you really want to put yourself through the ringer in the learning process, just for the sake of buying one board for your entire life, then maybe.
It's one way to do it. I mean, you guys got lots of boards, but this is a great all-round board, and I think people are going to love this. And we can't wait to. We're just starting our mass production now, so the boards will be coming this summer.
Yeah, this is it, man. We're excited. We'll have them here at the shop, and don't necessarily have an exact due date yet here, but we'll hope to have them maybe mid to late summer, and assuming nothing goes horribly wrong. And yeah, just in time for your late summer, fall travel season and into winter 2026. So good on you, man. This is exciting. It's not often that we see fresh, brand new, never before seen innovation in the industry, and it seems to be that you've brought that. So thank you.
Thank you, Tucker. Happy to be here.
Right on, guys. This has been a quick chat. Stay tuned for our review here in a little while after we spend a lot of hours on these. We'll get on a few different sizes, put them through the ringer, ride them in some different conditions, different sports, and give you the full overview of what we think and what's good and what's maybe bad and whatever. Give you that full peek at these once we ride them a lot. But certainly exciting times, and look forward to having options now when we travel other than paying an exuberant amount of money to ship a board or travel with a board or rent a board or compromise on something like an inflatable where you're like, man, it's great to be out here, but I'm only doing half of what I really want to be doing. That's it's never as fun to compromise, especially when you're spending a lot of time and money to travel and all that. So right on, guys. Well, if you have any questions, put them in the comments section below. One of our staff or Nigel will jump in there, answer some questions. You can always pick up the phone, call the shop, jump on our website, live chat, or email. We'll see you next time.